Olá, boa noite. O Exou Biribó, hoje com o vídeo 7 de Memória. Quem na verdade pode transformar Nuri é o servo de Satinave, que virou bastão e depois uma imortal mistura de humano e bastão. Mas talvez seja tarde, pois Nuri já nem lembra mais de Garon, e nem sequer que foi uma fada. Para salvá-los dos inimigos, o homem-bastão transformou Garon e o mercador em pedra, enquanto revela o final da luta de Sádia. E é com ela que seguimos no jogo agora.
We're directly above the Gorian Desert. The battle is in full swing. All I need now is a suitable weapon.
Que deve ser shuriken, naturalmente.
Completely useless against demons.
Mas vou pegar assim mesmo. Videira.
If it went up to the roof, I could climb it, but it doesn't.
Armário de armas.
I can see the staff in there. By the gleam in his eyes, I can tell he's probably yelling his head off. It's firmly locked.
Massa.
A blunt, heavy mace.
Cristal flutuante.
The floating crystals hold the various parts of the fortress up in the air. One of the enemy's missiles weakened it. We're now hovering a bit lower than the bridge to the main fortress. It's behind thick glass.
Lugar do impacto.
One of the enemy's missiles hit here.
Escudo.
If I want to fight, I'll need a shield as well.
Ainda bem que tem aqui sobrando.
It's hanging too high.
Estante de armas. Eu olhei o armário só.
It's just standing there. There's room for 4 weapons and a shield.
Espada.
No, it's totally blunt. Pretty much useless. I need something better.
Bainha da espada e a espada.
The opening is much bigger than necessary for the sword. A long, sturdy, but not very sharp sword.
A espada, então, com o shuriken?
A strange construction, but perhaps I can use it to reach places that were inaccessible before.
Fez artefato. E a massa com a bainha?
It's not intended to fit, but it works.
A massa no escudo?
I can't cut down the shield with this.
Mas não é para cortar o escudo. A espada com shuriken para subir no escudo? Não, para derrubar o escudo.
It's heavier than it looks. It's firmly locked.
Amarrar a videira no armário?
I'll tie one end to the door.
E o outro na estante de armas.
And the other end goes on the weapons rack. I could push it, but where?
Para o buraco.
Why
aqui.
would I push the rack over there? The shield isn't big enough to use for a bridge.
Amassa com a
It's not
bainha.
intended to fit, but it works.
Vão encaixar e servir aqui de ponte. De ponte não, mas de corda bamba. Construção perigosa.
I can't reach it from down here.
Colocar o escudo por cima disso, é isso? Fazer uma ponte mais larga?
One support alone won't be able to hold up the shield.
Espada com chulicão. Agora o escudo.
A long iron lance, better suited for stabbing than for hitting. The glass is too thick.
E se eu der uma alabardada nessa vitrine?
I can't swing the halberd well enough. Doesn't work. I need more weight to pry open the cabinet. I'll take the thing apart first.
Espada mais pesada da face da terra.
I could push it, but where? At last.
Charizard! At last! Where have you been?
There's no time to explain. We're in the middle of the war and Kasim is about to take over the fortress. The clerics are trying to keep him out of the flotation chamber. But who knows how long they'll be able to.
A flotation chamber, Princess?
It's the heart of the flying fortress. It keeps us all in the air. Kasim believes that if he alters one of the floating crystals the way the researcher changed my ruby, he can read all of the memories from the mask, and thus all the spells of the Djinn of Time.
A complicated plan for a simple-minded soul. But you'll stop him, won't you?
You can count on it.
Ativar, desativar, enviar visão, petrificar, despetrificar.
Awaken the floating crystal! Thanks.
You're welcome, Princess.
The flotation chamber is the core of the fortress. It keeps the whole building afloat. If Kasim gets the main crystal under his control, he'll have more power than ever before.
Amazing what you can do with a handful of stones.
We're almost there.
Céu.
The battle is in full swing.
You finally reached your goal, mistress. The great battle against the demons.
Yes, but the worst of them is not a demon.
Para a câmara suspensa. Atravessou ali. O general?
Looks like we've come too late.
Almirante?
Kasim did this. That swine.
Princess,
Ariakos, are you all right?
you've come too late. He has almost succeeded.
Do you still have my dagger?
It's hanging on my belt. We tried to bless it, but it was as if the gods refused to do it. As if they had turned their backs on you.
So it's come to this. Now even the gods punish me with their contempt. Then all that's left to me is my magic.
Princess,
What?
I'm afraid that the combined presence of the prince and the crystals makes it difficult for me to perform any sort of magic. You'll have to touch him if you want to enchant him.
First the gods and now this? Then that's how it'll have to be.
You can't, in all seriousness, intend to go into battle armed only with a dagger?
As if it had ever been any other way.
Clérigo de Praios.
They're all dead. Kasim killed them. He's still carrying his scepter.
Roubei cetro do morto. Pedras.
A moment ago I had swords, and now it's just stones.
3 pedras. Anarquia.
Hang on. I'll put an end to this madness.
Give up. He's much too strong for you.
No, I'll fight him with everything I can lay my hands on. He has humiliated me long enough.
Clérigo de Effert.
He's got nothing left except his belt.
Cinturão. Clérigo de Boron.
He's got a quill.
Uma pluma.
Not a great substitute for a sword, but what choice do I have?
Porta da Torre.
It leads inside the floating towers. It's locked. Kasim's arms have yanked one of the floating crystals from its pedestal.
Tentáculo.
These arms connect him with the crystals. He gets his power from them. They're his greatest strength, but also his most vulnerable weak spot.
Príncipe.
What's he doing?
He's trying to read the memories from the mask with the power of the crystals. Just as I know your spells when I wear the mask, he wants to learn the magic of the Djinn of Time.
You suddenly understand so much, Princess.
I've been in this fortress for days. I've had enough time to learn his plans.
He still hasn't seen you.
Yes, time for a surprise attack.
Ataque surpresa. Vou jogar pedras nele.
Ow! Who dares disturb me?
Who do you think?
Satya! You're alive!
You can't get rid of me that easily.
Oh, girl, leave me in peace.
Ainda tenho pedra para jogar nele aqui.
Ow! Who do you think you are? This ends now. Watch, Satya, as I subjugate this chamber to my will forever.
Princess, I have something else for you.
Ah, agora ele lembrou.
Kasim draws his powers from the crystals in the towers. Get me close enough, and I will extinguish them.
I better not get too close.
You can't overcome him as long as he has that magic shield around him. Its power is fed by the main crystal and the 5 small floating crystals in the towers.
What if I switched off the crystals?
Then he'll become weaker, and his shield smaller. Take this key for the left floating tower. But hurry! He's becoming more powerful by the minute.
Thank you.
Agora eu tenho uma chance.
Ariakos' key to the floating towers. Nothing happened. Next to the stairs, there's a bracket for a torch. A suit of armor next to a goddess. This place is both a fortress and a temple. It's not a real suit of armor, just a replica. The goddess of healing, Perina, even she has abandoned me. I'll show you all. I will heal the land that you have forsaken. It's a map of the towers. We're in the lower chamber of the left tower.
Tentar.
Kasim stretched his arms all the way to here.
You shouldn't get too close to them.
Posso cortar?
They grow back together in an instant.
Cristal.
Touch it, and I'll extinguish it before the arms have consumed it all.
What happened?
I drained the stone's power. The tower must have sunk a bit in the process. Go outside and have a look.
The goddess of honorable battle, Rondra. I wonder what became of the young Amazon. I'll show you all. I will fight like no human has ever fought before. There's a suit of armor in every room. The weapon is firmly attached to the armor. I guess I'll have to make do with what I've got.
Cabeça ornamental.
None of these suits of armor are real. The middle tower is full of this plague. What happened to the exit?
When you extinguished the crystal above, the tower came down a level. The exit is now closed off. If you want to leave, you'll have to awaken the power again. The tower is up again.
Corre para a pedra 2.
Kasim's presence weakens me. You must touch the crystal with your own hand so I can cast the spell. You shouldn't get too close to them.
I can't get close enough. Kasim's arms are disgustingly agitated. Hazinda, the goddess of science and arts. I can do without her blessing anyway. I'll show you all. If the demons win because of your malevolence, then the realm of the bright and beautiful will fall apart forever too. I'm on the wrong level.
Cristal principal.
For that, you'd have to get very close to him. As long as the prince is connected with just one crystal, I can only influence things in my immediate vicinity.
Travia. Even the goddess of hospitality has betrayed me.
Ela tem uma pena na mão.
I'll show you all. I will unite the army under a new star of hope. First they tunneled through the center of the room and then grew all over it, like a bridge.
Usar essa cabeça de macaco ali.
If that's what it takes.
Lasca de cristal.
Now it looks like a regular old shard.
Desativar essa lasca de cristal. E com ela acertar o tentáculo.
They only react to active crystals.
Ativar o cristal.
I don't think waking this crystal here would be a good idea. The arms would come up in an instant and tear you to pieces. You shouldn't get too close to them.
Thanks, but I'm currently standing on them. Oh, Tsar, goddess of peace, how could you be so wrong?
Já, deusa da paz? Duvido.
I'll show you all. I will give the world what you could only promise. Ah!
Princess, what's wrong?
He's in my head.
Has your past caught up to you?
Don't let him confuse you. It's only a game. A dark illusion to break you. None of it is real. Try to think about what you really see, and the deceit will vanish. It's only an illusion. Tell me what's really here.
Here is
Um suporte de tocha.
a torch bracket. Here is
Na palmeira é armadura. Depois estátua, escudo e nada. Armadura.
a suit of armor. Here is
Estátua.
a statue. Here is
Escudo.
a shield. In this place is
Nothing.
nothing.
Eu já sabia.
Take a deep breath. Everything's like it was before.
Mas tá super forte o escudo ainda.
I better not get too close.
Aqui eu não vi ainda qual é a santa dançando.
Raja promises love, but what did she give me? Of all the gods, you owe me the most.
The tower is up again.
Sobe a escada da torre 2, tá? Daí ela ficou aqui. Desativa esse cristal. Mas aquele outro que ela diz que não alcança.
The tower is down again.
Cinto no cristal flutuante.
Let's see what happens if I tie the crystal on here. Catch!
Torre 2.
The belt yanked the crystal off the pedestal. It'll stay down here now. That was that.
Agora eu posso atravessar aqui pelo tentáculo. Desativar isso daqui e sair pela janela.
The tower is down again.
E agora corta o principal. O cipó principal. E depois desativa o cristal superior.
That puts an end to your little spectacle.
Ow! I suppose after all these years you've finally done it. You have defeated me.
Do you really think I spent the last 15 years thinking about nothing other than how to defeat you? You're even more vain than I thought.
I thought you wanted to outdo me.
I'm not here because of you. I'm here so my great deeds can go down in history.
What great deeds?
Don't even start.
As you wish. If words cannot injure you, take this. I thought I would let you win. But if that doesn't matter to you, then I might as well just destroy you.
Desativar o cristal principal.
You have won. You have defeated me. You've destroyed the greatest temple the world has ever seen. Death will now rain down on the troops. No one will survive to tell of your terrible deed. Soon, none of what you've done will count for anything. You must be proud of yourself, for you have won. You've defeated me. Only no one will remember.
Deponia foi destruída. O bastão.
He's here.
Help! I'm wounded. Please, help me.
She's wounded.
A jovem amazona.
I have to treat her wounds.
Finalmente vou usar aquela gaze.
The bandage is all that I have.
Quick, take my hand! And then, suddenly, everything was quiet. It was as though Satinav had played a prank and stopped time. An almost endless moment in which Sadja and the Adept just stared at each other. He didn't understand that his rescuing hand was more terrible to her than 1,000 demon tentacles could have ever been. The final admission of her ghastly failure. Suddenly, Satinav snapped his fingers again, and life continued. As he pulled her away, I heard her scream, "Leave me," she called. "Leave me. Take me back." And again, I can't leave him behind. Over and over, quieter and quieter, and ever farther away. It didn't take long, and they had disappeared. And that was that. I was right back where I started. Only one thing was different this time. This time, I was able to remember. Remember a princess who persevered in the face of the most impossible obstacles. It helped that the Gorian Desert is one of the most magical places known to this world. Several astral lines crossed there, and I lay directly among them. I grew ever more powerful, and I practiced and practiced and practiced. After 400 years, I succeeded in refining my spell to the point where I finally found a way to permanently transform my body. I left the desert and set out for Draconia. I had to know what had happened to my princess after our separation. What happened to the only woman who was ever prepared to entrust her life to a shady, magical staff.
Capítulo 8.
The smoke
Sadia
rises
failed
into
in
the
the
sky.
Gorian Desert.
I'm cold. I wish someone would push me closer to the fire.
She
The
had
astral
mask,
accumulator
and
from the
she
school.
knew the name of the Djinn of Time.
Brighter. Brighter.
If
Brighter.
the wearer of the
Brighter.
mask speaks the name of the Djinn of Time, he can retrieve things past. But Sadia didn't waken the Djinn. Why not?
All I can hear is the crackle of the fire.
She was devastated.
I now know that they can see me and hear me, but it won't do them any good.
It's not all that hard. You just have to put the pieces together.
Help me! Help! Hollering is
Wonder if
futile when you
Garon's
can't
awake
talk.
yet.
If only I could draw attention some other way. Fahi! Fahi! I wouldn't be surprised if he just screams at me as well.
Reparar ou destruir o acumulador de energia.
Garon? Garon, can you hear me? I think I've solved the riddle. It's a little complicated. There are so many little pieces. There's only one thing missing, and then we can finally complete the story. Then I'll ask the staff to change you back. I promise. Can you do me one more favor first? Sadia's ruby has a crack. You need to repair it. Can you do that for me? Please, Garon, repair the ruby.
E ela pediu por favor, claro que ele tem que fazer.
The story is almost over. We just need the ruby. Thank you. And now let me try something. I pray to the gods that I'm not mistaken. Vedan fascadan, esplas de quatan, humuril or gras, ferrogoran, hil bemutir gerol falan, untir quatan feluntir sodan. Garon? Are you still there? If so, then you should be able to cast the staff's first spell. Please give me a sign that it worked. Good. You're still yourself. And now tell me, do you remember the spell of the staff?
Ativar, desativar.
I was right. Thank you. Thank you, Garon. Oh, you're probably wondering where you are. The staff created this place, a burial chamber of a mogul in the middle of the Andergastrian forest. Isn't that impressive?
Leave the mask and come to me.
He's here. I'll be right back.
Brighter. Brighter! When I get left behind again. Nuri.
Enviar uma visão para Nuri?
I'll try to send Nuri a vision.
Rio, ponte, entrada da tumba, inscrição, rosto de pedra, alto da montanha, Garon. Do alto da montanha pro rio. E pra ponte, não, pra entrada da tumba.
I can send Nuri to the mountain and then have her follow the course of the brook from there. But how would she know where to land? All I can hear is the crackle of the fire.
Ah, por último a fogueira, então. Alto da montanha, rio, fogueira.
That's it! I'll send Nuri to the mountain and then along the course of the brook until she reaches the fire. I hope it works. Thank the gods. I'm starting to remember something. I know how I can transform myself back.
Despetrificar o Garon.
All right, here we go. No, I'm too weak. The mask doesn't have enough power left to change me back. It was all for nothing.
Mandar outra visão para Nuri. Nuri. Garon. Acumulador de energia. Ah, para dar energia para ele porque ele estava fraco. Agora eu posso me despetrificar.
Oh, finally. Fi, is everything all right?
Oh, yes. My stiff old bones haven't felt this young in ages.
Thanks, Nuri.
Who are you?
That doesn't matter now. Will you promise to wait for me here?
All right.
I'll be right back. As the stone over the scarab, so rules the scarab over the stone. I still don't understand.
It's been 450 years since I, a talking staff with no memories, kindled the light in my prison and saw a strange woman who would change my life forever. Her story began in this chamber, and between these walls we will end it together. Merhaba, Geron. Welcome.
You were able to free yourself.
What does all this mean? Where are we?
Ask him.
Indeed. Ask me. You should know that I've waited a long time for this day, and would not like to wait much longer. But if you have a great many questions...
What's going to happen here?
So you still haven't figured out why I sent you my memories? Why you're here?
Conte-me tudo.
I am here because Fahi promised to change Nuri back into a fairy if I helped him with a little riddle. No one said anything about ensouled magic staves, flying fortresses, and strange dreams.
Life is full of surprises, isn't it?
Ha!
You laugh, but I wouldn't have believed that one day someone would rescue me from my dungeon, that I was to climb mountains without legs and wrestle without arms with demons. I would have laughed if someone had told me a princess will appear to you and, despite your strange form, show you the greatest wonders of the world. Oh, how I would have laughed.
Okay, but that doesn't explain why we're here.
You know that Sadia and I were separated. Our golden time together came to an end. When I finally found a way to leave the Gorian desert, centuries had passed. I wanted to know if Sadia had done it. If she had become the great heroine she always wanted to be. I wanted to hear how her name was whispered in the streets in awe. Sadia al-Kabir, Sadia the Great, the heroine who once... But no one had ever heard of her. So I continued and expanded my search. I wanted to know what happened to her after our separation. I followed her trail back to Draconia. I found the Adept's journal and the Djinn of Times' mask. But Sadia's real fate remained a mystery to me. Finally, I met Fahi and asked him to bring me here. A man named Ulrich had taken her ruby from Draconia and brought it to Andergast. He sought the mask in order to bring back his deceased wife, but he found only the gemstone.
Is all this really important?
Venha.
Why did you need the ruby? Why the mask? Why all of this?
I wanted to bring together all the relics surrounding Sajia's disappearance and finally understand what happened to her. At least I would know what happened to her. She deserved that. There was only one problem. I'm terrible at riddles. That's why I needed experts to help me. Who could understand every detail, who could be prepared for today.
Prepared? To do what?
To be able to tell Sajia's tale to the end without making a mistake.
Does it matter how she died? She's dead. We can't change that.
You're wrong. You will determine what happened to her.
I don't understand.
The Garden of Oblivion, Geron. I read the journal to the end. After her return, Sajia went into the Garden of Oblivion and never came out again. Nothing that happens in the garden has actually happened until someone talks about it. Outside the garden.
And since Sajia has been forgotten since that day, her fate has never been told, and thus never completed.
O Jardim do Esquecimento?
I never did understand the garden.
Geron, the events in the garden have no effect on the outside world, as though they never happened. Only once someone convincingly tells of those events do they become true.
But if it turns out that they lied, or were mistaken,
then Satinav's invisible hand punishes them for their sacrilege.
That's why we mustn't make a mistake. I think I've explained enough about our wondrous meeting.
Are you ready, Geron?
Just a moment.
O enigma.
What about the inscription on the burial chamber?
You mean the stone and the scarab? Fahi believes that the inscription is the key to everything. But as apt as his intuition may be, in this case he's mistaken. The riddle is apparently only a strange jotting on the margins, a random blemish on an otherwise monumental painting. There's nothing else to say about it. Sajia was taken to the burial chamber to read trivial inscriptions, and, as proud as she was, she refused, that's all.
O papel do Fahi.
What's Fahi's role in all this?
Fahi is a man of many talents. He has a feeling for tales, and he's good at solving riddles. In addition, he had a wagon and a tent in which I could hide on my long journey. He is helping me solve the riddle, and in return, I protect his business from looters. That is our agreement.
So he's actually harmless.
Fahi is the most harmless man I've ever met in my 3,000 years. I was sorry to petrify him, but it was the only way to save him from your fellow citizens.
Brida.
Why are you here, Brida? Sadia's story doesn't have anything to do with you.
Geron, there's nothing left for me here. I'm a deserter. My own comrades are hunting me. This is my only refuge. Please, even if you still don't understand, let me bring it to an end.
I'm sure everything will be fine again.
The world will never be as fine as it once was.
O castigo de Satinav.
What if one of us ends Sadia's story and is wrong?
If Satinav learns that the tale we tell can't possibly be true, then he'll make it unhappen and declare the teller guilty of sacrilege.
Don't worry, Geron. We won't make a mistake. I've thought everything through very carefully.
Nuri.
At the waterfall, you promised to change Nuri back to her old form.
And I will, but first, we must complete Sajia's story.
All right.
Then put the mask on the bust of my old master and let us begin.
Pôr a máscara sobre o busto.
Thank you, Geron. Are you ready now?
Yes.
Sim, estou pronto.
Let's get this over with.
Thank you, Geron.
Which of you will now step forward and tell the story to its end?
Eu farei.
I'll do it.
Very well. I'll now tell you of Sajia's passage into the garden, as it is written in the Adept's journal. Listen closely. At the end, you must tell me how the story ends. After her return from the battlefield, Sajia was only a shadow of herself. She had seen the horrors of the Nether Hells, an ocean of destruction and death. She was the only survivor, but the rest of the world did not care. Sajia's great dream had failed. She wandered the halls of Draconia like a ghost. She didn't eat, and she only slept when exhaustion forced her to. On the 4th day, a young adept saw her at the threshold to the portal. He asked her where she was going. It was cold in the mountains, and she could have become lost, whereupon she answered,
I'm going to the garden to break my being.
The boy immediately ran to the air adept, but help arrived too late. When they entered the garden, all that they found was the mask and Sadya's ruby next to it. There was no sign of her. Out of fear of challenging Satinath, it was decided that they would forget the incident. No one was allowed to speculate about what had happened on that day. The mask and the ruby were taken to Draconia. The garden was sealed, and Sadya's fate was forgotten. Until today. It's now up to you, Garon, to finish her story. But remember, one mistake, and the consequences will be terrible.
I know. Sadya entered the garden.
E olhou ao redor.
She thought briefly and looked around.
Se sentou,
She sat on the ground.
pegou a máscara,
She took out the mask.
e olhou dentro dela.
She looked into the mask and...
Leu o feitiço.
She read the magic spell, memorized it, put on the mask, and destroyed her memory.
Why did you interrupt me?
I was afraid you would say the wrong thing. Then she disappeared into the depths of the garden like a soulless waif, and was never seen again.
It is done. I had always hoped it would be otherwise. But I was mistaken.
Are you crying?
Of course I'm crying. My princess just died.
Oh, well... I guess that's it then. That was the end just now, wasn't it?
Yes.
No. Since Sadya used the mask, her memories are now in the mask, and thus the true name of the Djinn of Time.
What are you doing?
Fadan feskadan esplastequatan, humuril orgras ferel goran, hil bemotir kerul felan, juntir katan filontir sodan. Nijeti meta for imano ilti veda.
Ah, I've been awakened.
The Djinn of Time.
Tell me, child, what is your wish?
I'm sorry, Garon, but there's nothing left for me in this time. As if there had ever been anything for me here. There are no heroic princesses, no ancient tombs, no flying fortresses. Only endless honor guards, latrine duty, one triviality after another. When was the golden age lost? When princesses still dreamed of battles and the world was filled with magic. I wish it was all as it used to be.
Your wish is my command.
Bryda.
The girl is now gone. Her longing now rules over her existence. It is my task to fulfill that longing. To extinguish the grey present and bring the past to life again.
Oh no. The forest is starting to change. What did she do?
Garon, come quickly. Garon, I've been thinking.
That's nice, but it won't help us any. Bryda told Sadya's story to the end. She had Sadya put on the mask and draw out all her memories in the Garden of Oblivion, so that everything has now happened exactly like that. And she read out Sadya's memories with the ruby. I mean, Bryda did that. And now she's possessed by the Djinn of Time. And...
Calm yourself, Garon.
I'm supposed to calm down? We have to do something!
You're right, and we can only do something if we prove that Bryda was wrong, that Sadia did not put on the mask. You forget that there's still a part of the riddle we have not solved.
The scarab? As if a pointless riddle could save us all.
Do you have a better idea? Look around. We're in a copy of the burial chamber. Perhaps you'll find the crucial clue somewhere. Bring it to me, and perhaps we can solve the riddle once and for all.
Ruby?
Sadia's ruby. The Djinn of Time must have torn it off the mask.
É esse rubi que o senhor queria? O senhor precisava?
All I found was the ruby.
Give it to me. Giacomo Nauta told me you were an amateur mage. Is that true?
Yeah, I can break things.
Well, I can also do a bit of magic. If I hold something in my hand, I can catch a glimpse of its past. That was the main reason the staff chose me as his companion, you see. Now, let's see what story this stone tells. Curious. When the ruby was found after Sadia's disappearance in the garden, it had a crack. And the reversal spell the Ore Adept had woven into it had vanished utterly. The mages had to reapply it completely. But there's more. I see a palace garden, and in it, 2 children.
This is a brooch from Mengbilla. My father gave it to me.
Oh, can I see?
There. And here, a ruby from the dwarf tunnels in the brazen sword.
It's so beautiful.
When I'm Caliph, I'll have all the treasures in Avestan gathered in my palace. Fazar will be more radiant than in the times of the great Moguls. My subjects will lie at my feet for all eternity.
You'll be a good ruler, Cassim. All the history books will tell of you.
Ha! Do you see the sign on my arm? It's the calligraphy of my sovereignty, the sign of my dynasty. The whole world will bow before this symbol. There are great times ahead of us, Sadia. Truly great times.
I see a prince and a princess playing together. He's trying to impress her. What could this mean?
Eram irmãos.
So Sadia and the prince really were siblings?
Wait. There's more. Something's happening. A palace guard arrives.
Let me go!
You're so pathetic. Isn't that how you like to be treated? Like the dog that you are.
At least I have my own teeth.
You please me, Sadia, more than I had hoped.
The prince is tormenting the princess. The guard holds her tight. She's at his mercy. But why?
Ela cometeu crime. Estava sendo atormentada sem razão.
Maybe there was no reason, and she was punished unjustly.
They finally let her go. She remains alone in the courtyard.
Really? What are you doing? Are you tattooing yourself?
I'm writing my own dynasty.
Do you even know what the word means? Dynasty? You can't simply write greatness into your blood. You're either born with it or not.
I'll prove it to you.
Do you think you could ever be greater than I? You're amusing. Guards! Throw her back into the gutter where you found her. I'm done having my fun with her. Then fetch me a new girl.
Sadia wasn't a princess at all. She was only a poor girl from the streets.
So what?
I don't know, but...
What's so funny?
Don't you understand? The solution to the riddle. Sadya's words outside the burial chamber. It was so obvious all along.
Não entendo.
I still don't understand.
Why was Sadya taken into the burial chamber by the group of heroes?
Because she was a princess. But she wasn't.
Yes, she merely claimed to be a princess, and as such, she was supposed to be able to decipher the ancient inscriptions.
But if she wasn't, how could she read it anyway?
You'll have to come up with the rest yourself.
Oh.
We were fooling ourselves. Now, go into the burial chamber and tell it to the Jinn. Then everything will be all right again.
Ryder, or whoever you are, come out.
Why do you obstruct her wish? She's unhappy. She wishes to be back in a time where everything was still good. You, of all people, should understand that. But it no longer matters what you think. The ritual is almost complete. A new ancient kingdom will grow from the oak wood.
Not if I can prove that Bryder was wrong, and she was indeed wrong.
Sadya went into the garden, she took the mask, and she spoke the incantation. So did it happen, and so shall it remain.
It will. Listen, let me start at the beginning. Sadya entered the garden, she sat down and pulled out the mask.
E desapareceu.
And despaired in herself and her inability.
Why should she despair? She had my promise of blessed oblivion. All she had to do was read the incantation.
No.
Ela não podia ler. Ela não sabia o antigo idioma.
I'm sorry, Bryder, but Sadya wasn't as brilliant as you think. She felt persecuted and restless. She wanted to forget her own past and become someone else. She wasn't a princess, just a poor girl from the streets. And as such, she couldn't even read.
No.
Forgive me, Bryder.
That's that then. The riddle is finally solved. Why such a long face, Charon?
Yes, my friend? What plagues you so?
Nothing. Why are you so happy anyway? Sadya's fate proved to be false. You don't know any more now than you did before.
Very true. Very true. But perhaps not.
Oh, forget it. I'm sick of riddles.
Yes. Leave the dear boy in peace, Halef. Fulfill his wish, and let's move on.
Yes, travelling is nice. I want to go to the sea.
Wait just a moment.
It's up to you, my friend. Do you want me to change her back? But I can only restore her body, not her memories.
Reconvertê-la ou deixá-la como está? No primeiro jogo, Abá disse que ela ficou livre como jamais foi. E ela quer atravessar os oceanos voando. E ela já esqueceu que é uma fada, já esqueceu do Garon. Deixá-la feliz.
Leave her. Her new life as a raven seems to make her happy.
So be it.
And thus our time together is at an end.
Can I leave now too? I want to fly over the ocean.
Don't leave just yet. It's hard for me, but if you want to leave, then you can.
You still haven't told me who you are.
My name is Garon.
Hello, Garon. I am the raven Nuri Dalinella Vanda, but you can call me Nuri.
Even if you've forgotten a lot, if you ever get tired of your travels, you'll always find a home with me.
That's nice. It is lovely to meet you, Garon.
Likewise. Farewell, Nuri.
See you later.
And thus ends the tale. Did you know that it would come to this? Oh, how can I know what you planned, and what was mere fortune? Until today, I would have sworn that the mask destroyed you. But that can't be. We know that now. Now, just so I don't make a mistake, there are only two possibilities as to what could have happened to you back then. The first, the more likely, has now proven to be false, which leaves only the second. I mustn't make a mistake. Here we go. When Sadia entered the garden, she had the mask with her. But no ruby. Yet, when the mask was found, there was a ruby beside it. Now, it may be that it was Sadia's ruby that was thrown into the garden earlier by the prince. But what if it was another? Oh dear. Oh dear. There's no going back now. Satinav! I say that there was not one, but two rubies. The real one was lost. The fake was taken from the garden by the mages and is now here in my hand. Sadia couldn't read, but with my mask she could do magic. She could turn plants to stone. She could turn people to stone. What is a ruby, if not just another stone? There. And now to you, my dear. You descended into the deepest tombs, and you climbed the highest mountains. You danced with wind spirits and wrestled with demons. Abandoned by the gods, forgotten by time. Shahrazad, your time has finally come.
Liberte quem você ama. Deixe ir. Desapega. Foi bem legal. Fora algumas coisas que, ao contrário da maior parte do jogo, não tinha uma sequência lógica e a gente ficava se batendo, indo e voltando. Principalmente na floresta entre os exércitos, procurando o mensageiro, e depois no palácio lá na batalha final, passando e voltando por todas aquelas torres. Essas partes foram até bem irritantes, porque destoaram do resto do jogo. Não tinham uma lógica direta para a gente ir fazendo aquelas ações. Fica como a Sadia dizia quando a gente mandava juntar umas bobagens nada a ver. Não gosto de agir aleatoriamente. Mas foi bom. Então é isso. Hoje vamos parando por aqui. O Exou Biribó, agradecendo a presença, o apoio, as dicas, a torcida, o acompanhamento da jogatina de mais um game completo aqui no canal. Espero que tenham gostado de assistir tanto quanto eu gostei de rejogar. Desejo boa noite, até amanhã. Por enquanto eu fui.